Hey, and welcome to the Conservative Talk. Today we're going to be talking about the left's endless struggle to achieve utopia. To understand this topic, I think it's best to know what utopia means. As Merriam-Webster defines it, it's a place of ideal perfection, especially in laws, government, and social conditions. In other words, well, as I like to define it, everything is equal in both income and outcome. As in, everybody's getting the same thing and they're doing the same thing with it. Now, this may seem perfect on paper, but it isn't so easy to execute. We see many of examples of utopia all around our culture. Books like The Giver, movies like The Divergent. But if you know how those stories go, you see that even modern-day liberal Hollywood points out utopia's flaws. Despite how impossible utopia is to achieve, that's not to say there haven't been attempts. In 1848, Karl Marx wrote the Communist Manifesto, one of the world's most influential political documents. In it, Marx wrote about a government system not built on social class. To achieve this vision, it called for a, quote, forcible overthrow of all existing social conditions. But for such perfection, what must be sacrificed? The answer is simple: your freedoms. It is because this demand is so high that Lenin's dream of a communist Russia never worked, and why it never will. A perfect world isn't worth a human being's free will. This utopian world that millions of lives have been lost to achieve now threatens the heart of America. The founding American philosophy is built on the fact that all humans have inalienable God-given rights that can't be taken away. These rights are beyond government and can never be tampered with. Unlike other Marxist beliefs, the founding fathers thought it best to give us equal rights, or in other words, equal ability to achieve our goals. They knew that the best that any government can hope to do is protect the rights that give us equality and let us regulate our own outcome. Everything American is based on this philosophy, the American dream, something looked upon with envy from other inhabitants from other countries, a place where you can go to do whatever you want as long as you're willing to put in the work. This idea has been attempted to be preserved by our politicians and elected officials, that is, until the progressive movement brought about a new era, an era of victimhood mentality, an era where the central government is the source of everything, an era where it is not your rights that must be equal, it is what you achieve using those rights that must be equal. This can only be achieved with unfair handouts. So be it, they say. Instead of seeing disparities, they see discrimination. After saying any inequality in any situation, the finger is immediately pointed at racism, sexism, and the evil institutions of America. To fix this, many plans have been introduced. Andrew Yang, a former Democratic presidential candidate, proposed an idea to give $1,000 every month to Americans. Constant over-budget COVID relief bills that convince healthy young individuals to stay at home instead of work. Corrupt healthcare plans that will make everyone poorer. The Democrats infringe increasingly more and more on our rights for their false utilitarian beliefs, and that's just what it is. False. Because as we established before, utopia is impossible. But why? Why do they do all this? Because that's what it takes to make everything equal. Because that's what it takes to achieve utopia. Or is it? As I explained earlier, utopia is both equality in outcome and income. You see, by taking from some to add to others, you may be making the outcome fair, but you are now making the income unfair. I conclude with this: utopia is impossible, and the left is wasting their time. Humans by nature are different, so we therefore reap independently. In the words of John Crowley, the great question that utopias are never quite able to solve: how do we get from this flawed and hurtful world we live in, and the flawed and confused people we are, to the rational and cooperative world we want? And remember, stay a patriot.